Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me in another video. And today I'm going to go over my opinions about NFC technology and whether I think it's something that you can use on a daily basis. And I'm going to try to get you to maybe buy some NFC tags for you to tinker with. We have a video here in the background by Android Authority, and they're just kind of going over how to use NFC. NFC, I think, is something that a lot of us have already tried. But I'm just going to try to show you how I use NFC and which apps I use to program the tags and which tags I actually bought. Now, when I first heard about NFC, I thought it was going to be really cool to be able to beam my contact info to other people and beam pictures. Well, maybe like you, I haven't really used it that much, partly because only the newer Android phones have NFC technology. There's a lot of people that have iPhones, and iPhones don't have NFC. And I think once the iPhones have NFC and once more people know about NFC, we're going to be using it all the time. But I think right now it's still in its early stages, where if I wanted to share my contact info with someone, it might be a little bit awkward because, first of all, even if they have an Android phone and it's a newer one, they might not even know about NFC. There's a setting that you have to actually enable it, and it could be a little awkward when you're trying to beam something to someone, especially if it's in a professional environment, and then it's not working, and then you have to like fidget with their settings, and it's just not there yet. But I think one day we'll be able to go to somebody and say, hey, can I beam you my contact? And they'll, oh yeah, for sure. And they'll just turn NFC on. They'll know exactly where it is, and you'll beam stuff, and it'll be all good to go. But for the time being, I wouldn't rely on it so much. The cool thing about NFC, though, is that it's totally awesome to use for personal day-to-day use. And that's what I'm using it for. So let me just go ahead and stop this YouTube video here. Sorry, because it is really choppy. But let me show you the tags that I bought are these guys right here. The Samsung TecTiles. So these guys I got off of, I think it was Amazon for like $8 after shipping. And they look like this. And once you open the package, there's a little set of NFC tags that look like this if you get the 5-pack or the 10-pack. One thing that I did is these you can peel off and you can put them on any surface that you want, but because I like to move them around, I didn't actually peel them off. I just grabbed scissors and cut them out, and then I use my own tape, and then that way I can reuse them. So that's kind of a tip that I have for you guys. So what do I use these guys for? Well, I have an app here that I use. It's called Trigger. Now, Trigger is awesome because it will allow you to write a set of commands to your phone. So what I use this for is when I'm home, I like to listen to my music through my Bluetooth speaker. So what I do is before I had the tag, I would first turn on Bluetooth, open my Pandora app, then turn down the brightness because I would leave my phone on and I don't want it to use a lot of battery. Well, now I programmed the one of my NFCs to do all that for me. So it goes ahead and launches the app, turns on Bluetooth, turns down the brightness, and I'm good to go. So what's really cool about this app is that has a feature called switch. So the same NFC tag, when you bump it, it'll turn on Bluetooth and launch Pandora, turn down the brightness. And then when you bump it again, the same NFC tag, it'll do the opposite. So it'll turn off Bluetooth and then set my brightness back to what it was. And then you can even decide to close the Pandora app, I think. But this is one cool thing about this app, and it looks like it's the most popular one that people are using right now because it has that really neat feature where you can have like a switch. So using the same tag, you can bump it once to turn on something and bump it again to turn it off. And that's really cool. Because then otherwise you'd have to use two tags, one to turn it on and then the other tag would be programmed to turn it off. So this one's really cool and the user interface is really nice. Then there's another app, and it's this guy right here, the NFC TagWriter. This one's also good because the first one, for this one to work, you have to have the app installed on your phone. So someone that came over to my house and had an Android phone that has NFC, they wouldn't be able to just bump their phone onto my tag because they don't have this app installed. So it'll ask them to download the app first, and then they can bump it, and then it would turn on their Bluetooth and etc. So that's why I like this other app, NFC TagWriter, because this one will program an NFC and it can be read by any phone, and they don't have to download the app to actually work. Now you're limited to certain things. It can't do system settings like the previous one, because then you would have to download the app. But this one will go ahead and send contact information. It could send a link to a certain page. I believe you can program it to populate a number, to open an address in Google Maps. So this one here is universal. So I use a combination of the two. So let's go ahead and open both of these apps and just go over some of the settings real quick. So I would like to point out that the Samsung TecTiles recommend you to use this application, but I don't really recommend it because Trigger is going to be better than this one. So let's just take a quick look at Trigger here, and we'll open it over here. So this is Trigger, and if you click over on this side, you get to see all of the settings that are associated with the app. So right now I'm looking at my tasks. They have a few suggested tasks, and then there's this one here, under NFC actions, that are pretty cool. So these are some of the tasks that I have already enabled, and the first one is for my speaker, and this is one of the ones that I mentioned that had the switch. So the first time I bump it, it'll activate my speaker settings, and then the second time I bump it, it will activate a setting I called world, that it just makes my phone ready for me to go out. And it's really easy to set up. So if I wanted to create a new one, all I do is press the plus button over here. I can add a trigger by clicking this button here, and we're going to pick NFC. So the NFC is going to trigger this action here, and in the next screen we're going to select what we want the action to be, and as you can see here, we have all these different options. So there's plenty here to mess around with, including settings. So this app I use for settings, so it's going to be one of these here. So I might play with maybe sound and volume, so I'll pick ring volume here for that and hit next, and then it'll ask me what I want the volume to be changed to, and I might hit 0 and hit add to task, and we can add as many of these as we want. So for this example, I'll just leave that one there, and then we'll go to next, and in the next screen it'll ask us if we want to add a switcher. So we're not going to be adding a switcher for this one, and then we'll hit done, and then all we have to do is grab one of the tags and then put it next to our phone, and it'll write it for us, and then we'll hit done, and that's it. So it's pretty basic stuff. So there is a task 4 that I can rename it if I want. And then if I go over here, another important thing is other NFC actions. And over here we have a very important one, which is erase tag. So if I wanted to reprogram a tag, I would have to erase it first. So that's important right there. Alright, so we'll go back to the menu. Okay, and then we can go back to my task over here. And that's pretty much going to be it. They have options here, so if I wanted to go back and edit this, I can easily edit them without having to recreate the whole thing. And then if we go over here to options or settings, and over here in the settings, one thing I recommend is going to notifications, and under notifications we would disable this, because otherwise we'll get this message constantly appearing up here. And then the other thing I would do too, let me go back in there, is go down to advanced. For some reason Google Analytics was turned on, so I don't like when people track me, so I went ahead and turned that off. But that's basically it. That's how you write your tags, and then you're good to go, and you can set them up and put them around your house, and then, or in your car too, if you need to enable a setting for your car or your work. So they're really convenient, and I know that they only save you maybe 5 seconds at a time, or maybe 10 depending on how many actions it has to perform. But if you start thinking about it, 10 seconds starts to add up over time, and it's just cool to be able to just bump in and it'll do it for you. So I mean, smartphones are all about saving us time. So then if we go over and look at the other app, the TagWriter app, this is what TagWriter looks like, and this one has more of a learning curve. It's not so easy, but here we go to create one, and here is where we can hit new, and then it'll ask us what we want to do. So the contact and the bookmark, these are the two that I've used. And when you write a contact to the NFC tag, it will share that contact to anybody that has an NFC enabled phone, or as far as my testing has gone. So they don't need to install this app to share contact information. And as far as the bookmark goes, they also don't need the app installed on their phone to share a bookmark. Now, this app here, I would highly suggest it if you have a business or if you work in retail or something like that, where you can share information real easy and it's going to benefit you in your job. So I do have one of those jobs. So I have a name card, and it's the coolest thing when I'm going to share information with people. I do bump my information with someone, and I make sure that they have NFC enabled first, but I share my email, I share my name, I share my website, everything. And I share all that information so quickly and easily. Another thing that I use a lot as well is the bookmark feature. And the bookmark feature is awesome because I can send them to a website, my personal website, or my Twitter page, or my Facebook page. But here's another really cool application where you can use this. And let me go ahead and exit this. So because that application allows you to share a link, you can technically share any file you want using this little NFC chip. So there's different uses for it. There's an APK that I love to share with people, and I share that app with people, but you can share anything you want. So let's say I have a picture here, like this guy here, and if I wanted to share him using an NFC tag, all I would do is I would go over here to my Dropbox account. So you need to host it somewhere online, and the easiest place to do that would be like Dropbox or Google Drive. And then I'm going to click here where it says share link. And here it would generate this preview for me, and I wouldn't share this link here because this link would just take him here. So I would share the download link directly. So I would right click here and hit copy link address. And as you can see, if we paste that link here in a new window and hit enter, so you'll see down here it's starting to automatically download that file, and that's what I want. We don't want to share this page because that's not going to download it automatically. We want to share this special link right here because that will download that file automatically. So what you can do is you can just grab that link and then write that to one of the NFC tags, but you're not going to want to write that whole thing. So what I would do is I would go to a Google URL shortener, or any URL shortener of your choosing. I like this one. You can find this one at goo.gl. So here you would just paste in that long URL and then hit shorten URL, and now you have a nice small URL that you can manually enter into the app without going berserk. So if we do that and we go back into the editor, so here in the editor we would select bookmark, and then in the next one I could pick one from my existing ones, or I can create a new one. So we'll hit create new bookmark here. Alright, so for the address I entered in the shortened URL, that way we don't have to write the whole thing out. And then we'll go ahead and hit next. And then from here we don't really have to edit any of these settings, and we'll hit next, and it's ready to be written. So I'll just grab one of my clean NFC tags and then I'll beam over that link, and then anytime I want to share that file, that picture, that APK, or that PDF file, or anything that file could be, all I do is I bump it next to someone's phone and I can give that file to them. So that's really cool. Obviously you would never be able to fit that whole file on the little tag, but you can put a bookmark and strategically send them to a download link to Dropbox and then share a file that way. So that's what I do, and people are always really impressed with that. And that's basically how I use my NFC tags. I don't think that they're at the level yet where we can just easily share them with anybody and they'll know exactly what we're talking about. I mean, even QR codes are really hard for people to catch on to. But for your personal use and to make your life easier and set it up at home, it's awesome. And then if you are in business for yourself, or you run an organization, or you work with customers, or whatever it is, and you can share your contact info or maybe a link or something like that, I would definitely recommend TagWriter. And that's basically it, guys. That's how I use NFC tags. I think they're really cool. Even if you're not going to be creating these links or sharing your contact information, I think it's a cool way to just geek out. So definitely go ahead and buy those Samsung TecTiles. Okay, and then I also wanted to share another cool thing about this app. So this app here, TagWriter, allows you to share data that you've already programmed one of your NFC tags with. So once you create the NFC tag, you don't necessarily need to carry that tag. You could just bump it with your phone. So you open up the app and then you go down here where it says share, and then here you can pick one of the tags that you've already created. So I would just tap on this here, and then these are all the tags I've created. So I could just pick a different one, like say this one here, and then I'll go ahead and check this box and it's good to go. I just need to bump my phone next to somebody else and it will beam over this YouTube link and it'll open up YouTube on their phone. So you don't need to have the chips. With this app, you could just do it with your phone, and they're just cool to tinker with and to come up with some cool things. It's funny because at my job, I brought the TecTiles and then we use them at work. And then one day I decided to Rick-roll them, and I programmed the chip to forward to the "Never Gonna Give You Up" link, and it's just hilarious. So be creative with it, and it's pretty fun. And like I said, it's not that expensive, and it's something cool to have. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll leave you with that, and we'll see you in the next one.